Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of First and North, where we keep you up to date on the best division in the NFL and around the NFL. I'm Luke Canellis. Joining me this week on First and North from Fox Detroit. There she is, Jennifer Hammond. From Fox Milwaukee, as always, Lily Zhao. And from Fox Minneapolis, Pierre Nugent. All right, let's get right into it, guys. Both the Vikings and Packers wrapped up their offseason programs. Pierre, I'll start with you. Let me throw these numbers at you. Over the 14 months since the Vikings made J.J. McCarthy the number 10 pick in the 2024 draft, the guy has participated in 18 days of training camp, 15 OTAs, 3 days of rookie minicamp, 6 days of veteran minicamp, and 1 preseason game. So I look back at what McCarthy's already done. He's put together a pretty large body of work going into this year's training camp. How did he look so far during the offseason program?
Well, Lou, for the most part, overall, he's looked pretty good. But, however, there were mistakes that were made, and we talked about it last week where he threw to the out route and it was jumped by the corner. Byron Murphy intercepted him. He threw 2 interceptions in minicamp last week, had a fumble exchange with his new center, Ryan Kelly, as well. But those things, I would say, don't necessarily bother me, if you're asking me in particular, because when you have a young quarterback, he's only 22 years old, I want mistakes to be made in practice. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. It's okay to make mistakes just as long as they don't become consistent themes. So I'm more interested in what will J.J. McCarthy look like come training camp. But for the most part in minicamp, overall, pretty good. But at the same time, I would even say, on the other side, it's pretty easy to look good throwing over the middle in 7-on-7 drills. So it's kind of like you take what you see with a grain of salt. But when it comes to game time, we still don't know what J.J. McCarthy is going to be in this league because he hasn't played a down of pro football. So it's still a little bit of a mystery. But from what we've seen in minicamp, I'm encouraged, but there's still a lot more work to be done.
All right, I'm with you, Pierre. McCarthy said he learned this from year 1 to year 2.
Pure thrower of the football, I believe I've grown the most on just the different level of trajectories of throws. At Michigan, I was kind of a one-speed pitch kind of guy. Had a couple deeper balls with level 3 throws and stuff like that. But just working on that 2-ball and different paces to the pitches and ball location and all that, because at the end of the day, we want as much yak and rack as possible.
What do you think, Pierre? Is the arm strength there?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely watching him in practice, I definitely believe the arm strength is there. What needs to be there, I think, a little bit more consistently are the throws toward the sidelines. And those are typically some of the more difficult throws a young quarterback needs to make in his career. Over the middle, everything looks good. To the sideline, to the boundary, those things I think need a little bit more seasoning. But again, like we said, this is why you practice. This is why you run him through drills and get more reps under his belt. But as far as arm strength goes, Lou, that's not my concern. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to compare him to anybody, but over years past, one guy that stood out to me that had a pretty nice career was Chad Pennington. He had his arm strength constantly questioned year after year after year. He turned out to be a pretty steady starter in this league for a number of years. I'm not comparing him to Chad Pennington by any means, but I think the talk of the arm strength is a little bit overblown.
Yeah, I'm sure that the folks in Minnesota hope he's better than Chad Pennington. By the way, I read where he said he
no doubt, no question.
Yeah, and McCarthy said he threw a ball 78 yards with the wind at his back. So if he needs to throw one 78 yards, I can't wait to see it. By the way, Bears first-round pick, Michigan's Colston Loveland, part of the national championship team with J.J. We all know the Vikings and Bears play week 1 on Monday night. Here's Loveland's message to playing against his former teammate.
That's my guy, Michigan man. We got to do some things in college, and he knows I love him, but we're not on the same team anymore. So all I know is Monday night we're gonna be prepared. We're gonna be fired up. We're gonna go out there and just good luck.
Fighting words there from a low-key Colston Loveland. All right, let's just move ahead to week 1, right? I want to go to Green Bay. Lily, what were your biggest takeaways from Packers camp that just wrapped up?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some similar themes that we are following in the offseason program that obviously trickle into training camp. Of course, what does the wide receiver group look like? What's the pecking order there? Who are the best starting 5 on the offensive line? On the defensive end, it's can the cornerbacks turn a corner without Jair Alexander? And what does this pass rush look like? It was not at up to its level last season. So these are all things that the Packers want to get sussed out during training camp. Matt LaFleur was, enthusiastic about the guys being on summer break, but he said you can't let up. You got to keep your foot on the pedal. Guys have to really put in work this summer, and it all starts with, the coaches, Jordan Love and company, going all the way down. So it was a successful OTA and minicamp portion, but these guys are going to be ready to put their pads on and really get to work because, again, they want to go to the Super Bowl.
All right, Packers CEO Mark Murphy is retiring after 17 seasons leading the way in Green Bay. I thought that this was awesome what Matt LaFleur did after the final practice. Check it out.
But I'll tell you what, he changed my life. He's changed a lot of people's lives for the better around here. He's a great leader, but an even better man. And he is the epitome of what it means to be a Green Bay Packer. So I thought it was appropriate. He'll be the last one to address our team as the president.
No, thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
I tell you, I've been around the NFL a long time, as a player, and certainly 18 years here. I really sense something special with this team, and hopefully you see the same thing. And the last thing I'd say, you have to believe it to achieve it. 1, 2, 3.
Super Bowl!
Yeah, what a great moment. Murphy is believed to be the only man, by the way, to win a Super Bowl as a player and CEO. Lily, let me bring you back. What has this man meant to the Packers organization?
Well, guys, first of all, I'm very thrilled that you showed that video because I think green and gold fans watching it brings a tear to your eye just to see what Mark Murphy meant to this team and the way that they're honoring him on his way out after 17 years as the president and CEO as he retires. He means a lot. I mean, he's left a lasting legacy in Green Bay, in Titletown. Of course, speaking of Titletown, the creation of that, bringing a lot of businesses, expanding the area in Green Bay, bringing the draft to Green Bay, bringing a lot of events to Lambeau Field. Just what he has done for this organization in terms of also keeping it a perennial playoff contender, right? Overseeing Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, winning a Super Bowl. I mean, he's done so much for this franchise and for the city of Green Bay in his tenure. So it was just nice to see, Matt LaFleur and the players honor him in that way, just for what he has done for the organization and for the city of Green Bay in his tenure there. So I think he's just really done a lot. I think he will be remembered for a long time, just keeping this program at the high level that it wants to maintain. So all eyes now turn to Ed Policy, who's taken over for Mark Murphy, and what he will do to continue the excellence with the green and gold. But I'm going to applaud Mark Murphy for what he has done, a Hall of Fame career for him. And of course, you mentioned it, winning the Super Bowl as a player and also as a president. So it's going to be just sad to see him go, but really happy for what he's done.
One more question, Lillian. I want you to be honest. Did you go to Aaron Rodgers' wedding and not tell us about it?
Sorry, guys. I was off a couple of weeks ago, and that's where I was. No, I did not go, but I know that kind of shocked everybody in the world that, hey, that's a wedding band. He's been married for a couple months now.
Pierre, I knew she was holding out on us. I knew it. All right. I thought the Caleb Williams, Seth Wickersham story was put to bed, but it has resurfaced here in Chicago after former Bears head coach and now Cowboys defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus opened up about Williams, claiming that none of the Bears coaches watched film with him last year.
I would say this, that, in the development of the quarterback position and really all positions, at my time at the Bears, we've always had daily coached film sessions. That was out through the entire year. So that's what I've observed, and that's where it was.
I can't wait to let this go, but Williams recently said he knows how to watch film, but he wanted to learn the best ways and most efficient ways to watch more film. All I know is Caleb Williams better be watching film during this time off. During minicamp, we saw Williams make a number of mistakes, and like Pierre said with J.J. McCarthy, better he make the mistakes during OTAs and minicamp than in games, huddles that took way too long, pre-snap mistakes. Williams was late on a number of throws, and I'll tell you what, Ben Johnson gave him an earful. Johnson's all about the details. He will not tolerate any sloppy play, mistakes that shouldn't happen, and remember this all season long. And I'm telling you, remember this, Ben Johnson was not with the Bears when they drafted Caleb Williams. He wants the relationship to work, but he is not beholden to Caleb Williams. And Jennifer, I want to bring you in here because I know people in Detroit were not happy with Johnson leaving for Chicago, but GM Brad Holmes opened up about Ben taking the job.
I really didn't know which way it was going to go. I was thinking Chicago would have probably been the last destination, but or I was probably hoping that, probably, but no, I really didn't know that was happening till it actually, till he accepted the job. And, we had a little talk briefly before he left. I was happy for him, man. I mean, he is a hell of a coach, man. And, they have a really good one up there. But yeah, it's just a little like, man, Washington.
Hey, Jen, was everyone in Detroit surprised that he took the Bears job?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a level of surprise with all of the openings that were available to him and all of the teams that he interviewed with. I mean, I think some people even go back to the season before and say, boy, that would have been a really nice landing spot for him with the Commanders, rather, with a young quarterback there as well and with the talent that they had building in D.C. But it's a strange situation that he did go to the Bears. The fact that he stayed in Division II is kind of interesting. But you know what? It'll also give him an advantage because he knows the division well. He knows his opponents well. And certainly he's seen enough tape of the Bears that he understands what their personnel is, who they've got. But it will be an interesting story as this unfolds throughout training camp, especially if he continues to have to get in the ear of Caleb Williams and try to get things detail-oriented and worked out because he is that kind of guy, I don't want to say a short fuse, but he is intense. He is a very workmanlike, intense dude, and he wants to make sure that things are done right. Mistakes are something that happened once under Ben Johnson's watch, in my opinion, and I think that it'll be interesting to see how things unfold if they continue to have that type of situation in Chicago over the summer.
When he got in players' faces in Detroit after a mistake, how would those players react? Did they become used to it?
It wasn't something you saw all of that often on the field because he was in a support role as the offensive coordinator. I mean, there were times when he would, snap at guys at practice about crisper, faster details, routes, things of that nature. But I think just the way that organization, the Lions organization, operates with the way that the coaches communicate and the guys that are in charge and also the players that he had. I mean, when you've got Jared Goff as your quarterback, and they were together for so long, and they were together before Ben even took over as the offensive coordinator, I don't think it was the same type of relationship. So this is all new, not only for Caleb Williams, but also for Ben Johnson, learning to be the main voice, the only voice, the guy on top. And Dan Campbell was a really, as we've talked about before on this show, a really open-minded head coach. He allowed his coordinator space to breathe, make decisions, talk to the media, do a lot of different things to kind of expand their depth, their experience, and their knowledge, and also just their potential for future, careers as a head coach. And I think as he kind of finds his way down this territory with the Bears, it's going to be really interesting. And there's a lot of reports, too, that you see of the players in Chicago. Some don't like the way he operates, but a lot of them are going to start buying in. And I think what's really going to matter is if they win. Because once you start winning, I think that's what happened with Dan Campbell. Once this team started winning, people bought into what Dan Campbell was selling.
Yeah. If they win, they'll buy into Ben Johnson, and they'll have to learn to accept his criticisms or else. We need to take a timeout. Mm-hmm. Fox Sports released its NFL quarterback power rankings. You're going to be shocked where one of the NFC North quarterbacks sits, and training camps are being released right now. We'll have the details when we come back here on First and North.
Major League Baseball on Fox.
What I'm doing, getting right to it. The money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do it. Oh
my goodness! Major League Baseball all season long on Fox.
Welcome back to First and North. Lou Canellis with you. Lions cut short their minicamp. They have been on vacation for a few weeks now. They also released their dates for training camp. Lions report July 20th. Jen, will we be seeing Dan Campbell doing some more up and downs? What are you looking forward to when it comes to training camp?
Absolutely. When they open on Sunday, July 20th, it will have been 45 days since any of those players were working with the coaches in the facility since the final day of OTAs on June 5th. And we'll see Dan Campbell doing his up-downs. It's interesting because this is the time of year when we saw him for that last OTA workout that he talks about. You know, he's asked a lot about guys who have performed well, guys that have caught his eye. A couple of them were Jahmyr Gibbs was one of the guys, also Williams. He's had his eye on those guys and the improvement that they've made. But this is the time of year when he calls them the Pajama Warriors. You know, they're not really doing much. They're not hitting a lot. He doesn't have much intel on the rookies because nobody's got pads on and they haven't had any serious workouts. But once they get to work in training camp and get into pads, probably day 3, which would be Tuesday the 22nd, I think Dan Campbell will have a little bit of a better idea of the type of squad that he's got.
Are you okay? Do you feel like, I'm not sure that was the right move to cut the guys loose for the summer as early as he did?
You know, I think that it's a better way to get his players to stick with him and buy in. I mean, if you're going to be a player's coach and you've won all these games all along, I don't have a problem with it. He has enough veterans in that room that those guys are going to continue to work out on their own. We've even seen videos on social media of Alex Anzalone working his tail off. He's been working with some of his teammates, with Derek Barnes and some other guys, as he remains kind of in this not necessarily an announced holdout position, but as he stays away from the team for those voluntary workouts. But I think that it's something that the players will come to like, and they are veteran enough that they're going to keep themselves in shape, and they're going to work hard enough. Dan Campbell works his teams hard during training camp. They have joint practices, and they know what's expected of them. This is a long haul. The Lions aren't just looking to get to December, January. They want to go all the way into February. So
Pierre,
he needs to preserve their team.
Yeah, Pierre, come on in. Vikings also released their camp dates, and if I'm not mistaken, things kick off July 26th. I know you're itching to get out there, aren't you?
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait to stand out in the humidity for 3.5 hours. Actually, but I feel like I have to be honest. I don't mind. I would much rather be out in the humidity than the freezing cold. So I have no complaints about that. But yes, you're right, Lou. Saturday, July 26th is when things kick off here in Eagan, and everybody's looking forward to it. The fans always love it. They have a great turnout here every single year with Vikings fans coming out and rooting on the team when the practices are open to the public. So yeah, July 26th is when things get going, and that's when the intensity picks up, and that's when we'll get a chance to see J.J. McCarthy again in his second training camp. Remember last year, I thought he looked great, really pushed Sam Darnold for that #1 job before getting hurt, but he'll get this opportunity now as the presumed quarterback 1.
All right, I want to check out the NFC North quarterbacks here. Fox Sports, don't know if you guys saw this, released its NFL quarterback power rankings after the Aaron Rodgers deal with the Steelers. Here's the top 5, and when it comes to #1, we all know it's going to be the quarterback in Kansas City, and that is Patrick Mahomes, followed by Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and then Jalen Hurts. What do you think, Jen? Are you in agreement with that? Do you think those should be the top 5?
Yeah, I mean, I think until somebody else supplants them, that those will be the best quarterbacks in the league. Certainly guys who win are going to have a little more cred on that list. But there's also a very slim margin for error of what separates probably the top 5 all the way up to maybe 12 or 15. There's a lot of really capable guys that can win in this league. It's also about who you've got around you. But Patrick Mahomes will always be #1, and that's a pretty fair top 5. I know some people in Buffalo have their problems with Josh Allen when they keep on having an early exit in the postseason. Well, not early, but too early for the Super Bowl. I do think it's interesting to continue to see names like that on that list, but I think that it's a pretty fair representation.
How about the NFC North quarterbacks that landed on the list? #7, Jared Goff. #12, this one shocked me, J.J. McCarthy. And right behind him is Jordan Love, and last but not least at #21, Caleb Williams. Let me bring in Lily. What do you think, Lily? Should Love be behind McCarthy?
You know what? I don't know if this is just the, covering the Packers and I'm speaking this way, but I am shocked. Again, he's behind a guy who hasn't taken an NFL snap yet, a guy that is unproven in the NFL at least for now. Really intrigued to see what J.J. McCarthy can do this season. I think he will be a really good young quarterback. But yeah, it is surprising to see Jordan Love, who's had a couple years under his belt now as a starter, be behind him. But you know what? That's okay. We can rank these quarterbacks all we want. It's just how they actually do on the field when the season does start and when everything does count. So I feel like if Jordan Love even saw this list, he wouldn't care. You wouldn't care. If I'm 13, whatever. As long as I'm going to play well this season and potentially lead my Packers to the Super Bowl, that's all that matters. But a surprising list, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Pierre, do you care?
I only care in the absurdity that is this list because I saw the list myself and I could not believe it. Lily was too polite. I'll go on and say it. Putting J.J. McCarthy at 12 is absolutely absurd. It's absurd. The context of this list, from what I saw, was all the quarterbacks being ranked where they are, given what the franchise did in the offseason and the weapons that these quarterbacks have around them. So that's the context of this list. But like Lily said, J.J. McCarthy has not played a single down of pro football. How in the world could you put him at number 12? He hasn't proven a single thing yet. I also have an issue with Dak Prescott being at number 10. Dak Prescott, I mean, for as talented as he is, when has he led the Cowboys to anything of prominence? That's my issue as well. I know that's the NFC East. I'm sure we'll let them handle that show. But J.J. McCarthy being at number 12, please, let's get serious here. The man hasn't proven a thing yet. I'm sure he's going to be very talented and have a great career. It is absolutely ridiculous to put J.J. McCarthy at number 12.
And let me speak on behalf of Caleb Williams. You could put Williams wherever you want, but I'll tell you what, as a rookie with no offensive line and very little help from his coaching staff, Caleb Williams still threw for over 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, had the 5th highest single-season passing numbers in Bears history. I get it. It's a low bar, yeah. But his work in the fourth quarter of games was really good, folks. He put his team in a position to win 5 of those 12 losses. They lost, 12 games, 10 of the Williams' 20 touchdown passes came in the fourth quarter. And his quarterback rating in the fourth quarter was pretty good as well. It was over 95. So I thought it was one of the best in football. And I thought for a rookie with very little help, I thought Caleb Williams deserved better than number 21. But I don't think Caleb cares either, just like Pierre Nugent doesn't. We need to take our final timeout. One NFL player lit up the scoreboard at a celebrity basketball game. We are going to show you who next here on First and North.
This is the future of golf. It all starts here. Live Golf on Fox.
This is going to be hot. It'll be a party. Long live golf.
Let's go!
Welcome back. Finally, hey, there have been a lot of NFL players that played college basketball as well in high school and college, exactly. But how about Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman? Look at this guy's athleticism at a celebrity basketball game. He scored 60 points. Hey, Pierre, if I remember correctly, Justin Jefferson, didn't he hit a home run at a celebrity softball game?
I don't recall that. However, I will say that Justin Jefferson has been caught, playing some one-on-one with Anthony Edwards in the past. I know Justin Jefferson, I'm sure, would be pretty good on the basketball court as well. But that was pretty impressive from Coleman, finishing at the rim the way he was. I think he's got to get himself an NBA tryout at some point. That was pretty impressive.
It was very impressive. All right, before we go, I want to say goodbye to our director, Nick Auz. He's been with us from the show's start. We are going to miss you, Nick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lou. Yeah, this show has been one of my favorites to do here. So I'm gonna miss you guys, and but you'll be in good hands. So but it's been a great, my favorite show here. So.
He's always making you look good, Pierre. Make sure you say goodbye to Nick. It's important.
We're gonna miss you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Great show as always. For Jennifer, Lily, and Pierre, I'm Lou Canellis. Thanks for watching. We are going to see you next week right here on First and North.